Hello everybody and welcome to Forever Box, and today we're going to be doing a video about a bit of a worrying subject, and that is the Springbok injury crisis, inverted commas. And it's not a massive crisis because we have got such incredible depth, but it's quite worrying when you look at the type of players that are injured and the specific players themselves and how kind of injury prone some of them have become. And unfortunately, at the end of 2 World Cup cycles and more, we're now getting to the stage where some of these injuries might be indicating the end of some of these players' careers. And unfortunately for them, I mean, for some of them, I think we might not see them play for the Springboks again. And it's a massive decisions to be made by Rassie Erasmus in the next few years with regards to basically putting a sentiment aside and deciding who is the best players in each position and what is the squad going to look like. You know, you can't have passengers in a Springbok squad at all. And it doesn't matter what they've done previously, what they mean to the team, for example, how great of a human being they are. You have to stop making the big rugby decisions. And with certain players especially, there are some big decisions to make. And the back of the injury update yesterday, it is very worrying when you look at, some of the key players who are going to be ruled out for a long time this year. And some of the players are very young and can bounce back, but some of the players not so young. And I think that's kind of where we are with regards to having to have the awkward conversations. Before we get into it, please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Let's get into it, shall we? And a big one is when they announced the injuries yesterday, Lukhanyo Am has officially been released from the Box squad. Now, to call a spade, he did not have a good semi-final against the Bulls. He's looked a bit of a shadow of himself since 2023 when he came back from that knee injury. Last year, he started to show bits, of the Lukhanyo Am we kind of remembered, but we haven't seen the Lukhanyo Am we saw post or pre that injury. Back in sort of 2022, 23, he was arguably one of the best players in the world. I mean, he was in such a good purple patch of form where he was just absolutely unstoppable. And I think if he hadn't gotten the injury, I think he could have been in the running for World Player of the Year. I think he was having that kind of season at the time. Since then, we're not convinced he's right there, to be honest. And we have to be very honest about it. And that performance against the Bulls once again raised questions. Now, the fact that he's been ruled out with injury and suggests that he was actually injured during the game itself kind of makes more makes sense. But it does raise bigger questions, to be honest. And that is, can he get back to full fitness? And is he of the quality still to be able to play for Springboks? Now, Lukhanyo Am on his best day is probably the best outstanding in the world, to be perfectly honest. The way he was playing, he was that special defensively on the attack, leadership from a playmaking ability. I mean, this is the man who has created some incredible tries over the years. But at the end of the day, what we've got to look at is him right now. And right now, he just doesn't seem to be the same player. So I think releasing him is the right decision. He needs to go back and get that knee right and get it 100% right. And if he has lost a yard of pace, can he get it back? If he can't, can he make it work? How does he have to adapt his game? Because at the end of the day, you've got to have the physical attributes to play test match rugby. And if he no longer has them, it's going to be difficult for him to be in that side. So a very big crossroads at the moment for Lukhanyo Am. And so sad that a player who is so good to watch and has given so much for the jersey over the years, is now being questioned by so many fans. And it's simply because we're just not sure whether we still got that level that we're so used to him playing anymore. And there are so many other options. And Jesse Kriel's playing such good rugby that it becomes difficult to sort of really justify picking Lukhanyo Am or continue to try and back him when we've got other options as well. The next one over here is Pieter Steph du Toit. Now, we don't know how serious his injury is. He has been released from the Box squad, so we know it is that serious. But we don't know what sort of injury it is and how long he's supposed to be out for. Once again, the problem with seeing Pieter Steph du Toit injured is he's not getting any younger. He's 32 years old. He'll be 35 in the next World Cup. He has had a bad history of injuries. This is a player who almost had to retire due to injuries, and he's picked up quite a few in recent years. Now, World Player of the Year last year, so we're not sitting there saying that Pieter Steph du Toit is not going to play for the Box again. I most certainly think he will, unless he literally doesn't return to rugby, to be honest. But every single time we now get an injury to him, you have to sit there going, oh, hang on, what is this? And can he bounce back? It's a bit like Franco Moster, to be honest, when he broke his leg. But he came back and suddenly looked really good. And you said, no, he's actually all right. We don't have to worry. He's still there. He's still, good enough for the squad. Cool. But there's always that question mark when players in their 30s come back from injuries, especially long-term injuries, about whether they can still get to that level because it's hard to come back from injuries. To a certain degree, because I suppose you look at the Alan Wynne-Jones situation, and he said that he took shortcuts to get back into that British and Irish Lions series, which he probably wouldn't have done if he was younger, because it would have reduced his career. But when you're right at the end of your career, you can kind of maybe make those shortcuts for a short-term gain. Can we do something just to get me into 2 more seasons type of thing, even if it means I don't play for another 4 years and just play for another 2 years. So there's also that sort of situation. But again, we do start to worry about a player like Pieter Steph du Toit, who has had lots of injury issues. So hopefully it's not too serious. Hopefully we will see him in the Rugby Championship. We need him against the likes of New Zealand, especially if we're going to try and go and beat them. And then 2 big worries. First of all, Trevor Nyakane blew out his knee against playing for the Sharks. He's out for the season. Rassie Erasmus basically said we're not going to see him again this year. And again, we're now talking about one of the oldest members of the squad, in Trevor Nyakane, who is 36 years old at the moment. He'll be 38 in the next World Cup. Last year was already kind of being phased out, and you kind of almost gut says that I think we might have actually seen him play for the Boks for the last time. And I'm just so glad he managed to get back, get fit, get into that squad, and was on the field when he won the World Cup in 2023, because he is a player who's always threatened to be absolutely world-class. He is world-class on his day. I mean, that British and Irish Lions series, for example, is coming off the bench, destroying them, winning key scrum penalties. And, I mean, our hearts broke when he got injured in the 2019 World Cup, and he had a bit of a unfinished story, really, going into 2023. So to win that was amazing. Not the way we like him to go out, but he is a World Cup winner. He is a huge character as well. We're going to really miss the character of him on the field, the dancing, he's a really funny guy. He's really relaxed, big leader, big personality. But again, prop, knee injury, 36 years old. How hard is it to come back? We're seeing Deon Free desperately trying to keep coming back and struggling, really struggling. And in the same breath as Trevor Nyakane, this man as well, also apparently very long-term injury, and he's barely played this past season, for the Stormers. So you now start to really worry about, well, could this also be the end? And I think the biggest problem is not so much about, is this the end for them? It's about, well, they're now getting injured quite a lot. Can we rely on them? Can we invest in them? Can we bank on them for the future? Frans Viljoen has played just 411 minutes this past season. Played a sum total of 9 games and hasn't played since March, and is still apparently going to be out for a long time. So you've now got a player like Frans Viljoen who's been a rock in that box scrum. I mean, it's very few games you see Frans Viljoen not starting in the number 3 jersey. But now he's got many injury issues. Trevor Nyakane got injury issues. Vincent Koch is not getting any younger. He is one of the oldest players in the squad as well, at 35 years old. He'll be 37 in the next World Cup. So tight is a huge issue. And that's why we've drafted in Thomas Toy, Vilkolo, Asnat and Klabakanya, Netling for sure. We've got 4 tight head options. And we've got to invest in them, because these 2 players, I don't think we can rely on them anymore. I think if they're fit and they're firing and they can still make the team great, but we can't bank on them. And that's a big thing about all 4 of these players, is when you can no longer bank on them, then you've got your big decisions about how much game time can we afford to give them versus how much we need to start replacing them. And if Vincent Ntuthuko is going to be, for example, our starting number 7 come 2027, he's not played a game for the Boks. Now, Rassie Erasmus says saying he wants to go into the World Cup with all the squad having at least 16, 17, ideally 20 plus games. If Vincent Ntuthuko is going to be our number 7, for example, I'm just using him as an example, he's going to have to try and play 10, 11 games this year, 10, 11 games next year, so he can go into the World Cup with 22, 23 caps, because you need to try and build that experience into him. So you've got to make big calls. Which of these players do you think we'll still see? I think we'll still see Pieter Steph du Toit. I think he's obviously still got a lot to give. I'm hesitant about the two props, and unless Lukhanyo Am can fix that knee, I'll also worry about him. 3 massive players, by the way, all played 50-plus caps for the Boks, and huge losses for us when they do move on. Do we have the players to replace them? Certainly, but they're still going to leave a massive hole in the squad. And who do you think can step up and replace them? Let me know down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve. I'll chat to you soon.